Hello and welcome to another Get Tech tutorial for IdealPOS. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a grid screen for your POS screen layout. Now to do this, we go up to Setup, we go to POS Screen and left click on Grids. Now here is where all our screen grids will be set out once we have created them. So to make them, we click on Add in the bottom right hand corner. And the first thing that will come up is a code number. You can leave this or you can enter in a number, whichever you desire. I'm going to leave it at 1. And then we need to give our new screen grid a description. I'm going to call this one source. And once you've done that, select between one of these two options. There is a fit grid to POS screen and floating grid with programmable size. For now, I'm going to leave it on fit grid, and I will come back later and show you how to change it to floating grid and what that looks like. So now I will click the Save button in the bottom right hand corner, and it will clear that entry, give us the next code number available if you want to create another grid screen. I'm going to leave this for now, I just want to create the one. So I click on the X in the top right hand corner, and this takes us back to all of our grids. Now you can see the new grid screen that we just created across the top here, which is source. We double click on that. Now this is exactly the same as setting up our POS screen layout before. So we have our search functions in the top left hand corner, code like, description, department, and all of our products will be listed here. So I'm going to start by just left clicking on my product and dragging it down to the screen, exactly like our POS screen layout. Click and drag, click and drag. Now to edit the buttons, change them or delete them, we just left click on the button. You can change it to none if you would like to delete it. You can change your button appearance down here, double height, double width, all that sort of stuff. We can change the background color. Then once you are happy with the look and the setup of your button, click on Save in the bottom right hand corner. If you've done something here that you do not like and you're not sure how to get back from it, click on X in the top right hand corner and none of the changes will be saved. So I'm happy with these changes, so I'm going to click on Save. Now we have all our formatting, copying, advanced options down the bottom here. So format, button, copy, move. Copy format, exactly the same as it works on the other screen. We can move the button around, all that sort of stuff. Once you are happy with your grid screen, click on X in the top middle of the screen. And then click on X again on the top right once you finish creating them. So now I will show you how to add that source option to your POS screen layout. So we left click on the POS screen layouts, and here we have our layouts. Now please ensure that you do a backup as shown in our previous tutorial. So once you've done your backup, double click on your POS screen layout. Now I'm going to assign that grid screen to the pie selection. So every time we sell a pie, you'll have to choose what sort of source is given with the pie or sold with the pie. So we left click on pie. Now here in the top left corner we have our POS screen grid. Now at the moment it's on main, this being our main grid screen. Okay, so we click on the little drop down box here and click on source. So now every time a pie is sold, a source option will come up. Once we've made the changes to the button, we need to click on save, and now the button has been saved. So if we have a look at sandwich, that's still on main. If we left click on pie, that's on source. So to test this, we can click on the X in the top right hand corner, click X again, come across here to POS, and click on pie. Now our three options for source come up, and we can pick a source. We can do that with each of them, and there we have our three pies with our variation of sources. So once you're happy with that, click on X in the top right hand corner, and I will now show you what a floating grid looks like. So now I will show you how to turn our source grid screen into a floating grid screen. So to do that, we go to Setup, we go down to POS screen, and we go into Grids. Now the first thing we need to do is work out the width and height that our floating grid screen is going to be. So we go back into our source grid. Now here you can see we are 3 buttons wide and 2 buttons high. That is the minimum height of a floating grid screen. So we can't make it 3 by 1. It has to be 3 by 2. Now keep in mind, when you do assign the size for the floating grid screen, it works from this top left button. So if we have products over here and we want to include them in, it has to be 7 by 2. So if I had a product here and I wanted to include it in this grid, I'd probably shuffle it along just to make the grid screen a little bit smaller. Now I'll leave peanuts here as I want to show you what happens when we do make it 3 by 2. So once you have worked out the size of your floating grid screen, click on X in the top middle, and then click on Modify in the bottom right hand corner. Now select the option Floating Grid with Programmable Size, and we'll change our width to 3 and our height to 2. Then click on Save in the bottom right hand corner. Now if we double click back on Source there, it gives us an example of what our floating grid screen is going to look like. Now as you can see, it has dropped that product off. Okay, so if you do this and you can't remember what that product was, we can then click on Close, we can click on Modify, go back to Fit Grid to POS Screen, click on Save, and double click back on Source, and there's our product. So it does not delete the product from the grid, it just will not display it. Now I'll go back out, I'll change this back to a floating grid screen with our width size and our height, and click on Save. Click on X in the top right hand corner and go back to our POS screen. Now when I click on Pi, it brings up our floating grid screen, which can be moved to wherever we want on our POS screen. So I'm going to select tomato, and now we have our pie with tomato sauce. If you do click on pie and you do not select a sauce, you just click close, it won't add a sauce on. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it.